Hair look all right?
Hey, it's Tristan here from US Party Company, and we're here with Rosie from Rosie O Entertainment, which almost sounds like an Irish jig, to be quite honest. And she's actually our first person from across the pond, across the water, all the way in Australia. So, welcome and thanks for joining us on this wonderful We Got Nothing Better to Do night.
Oh, thanks for having me on this wonderful We've Got Nothing to Better Do morning, because I've just got up and trying to figure out what to do with my day when there's nothing to do.
I know it's kind of a change from what we're used to. So, tell us if you're a decorator, twister, deco twister.
I'm a bit of everything. I started my business. Oh, and would you believe that? I actually cancelled my phone and people are still calling me, so I'm just turning that
It's
off.
all right.
I started off as
there's
a balloon twister, became a face painter, and now I do a bit of decorating as well. So I'm a bit of a Jill of all trades, really.
Now, what did you start first with? Did you start as a?
Oh, I can't hear you at all.
Oh, hold on one second.
So I don't know if my sound has gone. Oh, that's better. I've got you back now.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So, how long have you been doing this?
23 years.
23 years.
I have been in business for 23 years.
So, for someone who has as much experience as you do, a lot's changed in the industry. I mean, helium was cheap 20 years ago, maybe even 23 years ago. It was probably even cheap 10 years ago. So take us through a little bit about what you've noticed in transition from way back to kind of in the middle and then kind of what we have now.
Well, I'm sort of really lucky because my twisting side and my birthday party side has supported my decor side. So even with the price of helium changing, it hasn't had too much of an impact on my income. And that's something that I would suggest to people that are in the balloon industry. Have something on the side that's a little bit still part of your business, but something that can tide you over in times where the helium prices go up. I know a lot of people have gone into air decor, and that's great, works well. But for me, it's a little bit different because I did have the other side of my business.
And what is the other side of your business? Was it in the same category or totally different?
It's all in entertainment. So I have the umbrella of Rosie O Entertainment, and underneath that umbrella, I've got Rosie O does amazing balloon decor, Rosie O face painters, Rosie O balloon twisters, Rosie O does shopping centre promotions, Rosie O spruikers. In Australia, we've got a company called Jim's Mowing. If you're Australian, you'll know who that is. I don't know if that's in America. And Jim's Mowing started out as a lawn mowing business, and then now he's got Jim's Tag and Testing, Jim's Pool Cleaning, Jim's Window Cleaning. He's used the Jim's name to create this empire and sell franchises using his name. So I'm a little bit like that. I just don't have franchises.
Right. So let's talk about, so obviously you have those. A lot of people will buy a bunch of domain names based on where they're located and all that stuff. So take us a little bit into your mindset about branding. I mean, branding's something that can take time for a lot of people, but in your case, you're branded in different markets, such as the face painting, the balloons, and you have all these different assets going for you. But explain that to us.
Well, the branding came about because initially I started my business by mistake, really. Somebody liked my personality and said, oh, look, Joe Blow, my friend, needs a balloon twister. Can you help him out? So I started balloon twisting with this guy. I went to Thailand on a holiday and thought, you know what, I need some business cards. So I got some business cards made up that said Rosie O the Clown. Came back to Australia, and the sort of person that I am, when I go places, people do remember me. And I thought the best thing that I can do is, like, you've met me and you know me as Rosie. My name's actually Rosina O'Neill. And what I decided right at the very start of my business was to have a name that would be easily recognised. It's great being Rosina O'Neill and having elaborately awesome face painting company. People would remember Rosina O'Neill. What's her business name again? Oh, Rosina O'Neill. Yeah, she runs a fantastic face painting business. What is it? if you're going to do branding, make sure your name is simple to remember. And for me, the simplest thing was to call my business Rosie O. My name's Rosina O'Neill, call it Rosie O. Everybody remembered Rosina O'Neill. I wanted a business name that they would remember. So I became pretty much Rosie O. My branding is such that all my girls wear exactly the same clothes. My mum wears my costumes when she's working for me, and she would walk across an oval at an event and people would run up to her and go, "Hey, Rosie, oh, you face painted us." Your branding needs to be really good. One of my girls went to the bathroom. She stopped at a shopping centre and went to a bathroom, and she's in the stall and she hears the door open and close and these little footsteps running and someone going, Rosie, oh, I know you're in there. I saw you. And this head pops under the toilet door. So that's the sort of branding that we have. Brand your car. My car drives down the freeway and we see little people who are probably not yet reading will go past my car and look at the car and go, "Look, Mummy, it's Rosie O." Because they see the picture that is associated with the words on my car are really big. It says Rosie O next to a giant face painting face. So we've branded it, or I've branded it in such a way that it's very simple for old people, young people. We go to shopping centres and I'll go after work to shop and kids will see me and go, "Look, Mummy, it's the face painter," just from what we're wearing. And it does take time. It's taken me 23 years to get to that stage. But if you're just starting out, think about your branding. Think about making it easy, making it simple. Get a name that people can remember. You might come up with a name that you think is fantastic, but people won't remember it. If it's too hard to remember, they won't remember and they'll book somebody else.
You know, it's funny. That's a very valid point. I mean, I touched on this earlier today, but it's kind of like when people used to come into the retail store that I used to own called New England Party Supplies. People would come in with their Party City bag, their Party City merchandise, and their Party City receipt. At the end of the day, sometimes people don't even know where they're at. You know, they just think they're at the universal place. So
Yes.
if you're not familiar with Party City, it has about 850 stores here in the U.S., the largest party supply to the end user. And yeah, it's crazy to think that people sometimes don't even associate a name, a brand, but they're so brand aware on a particular brand that all as they know is that party store that's big across America, you know. And it's funny to think about how that whole brand and works. And you know, it's good to hear your story that people know who you are because that's what you want, ideally.
Yeah.
So it really, really helps, you know.
I will say something for you. Like, if you're going to go branding, don't copy someone else's brand because it works. Don't copy what they do because it works. Because we had a girl local, and she didn't mean to, but we give out stickers that say that we've painted them, and the stickers were identical to ours. Same color, same words, same setup. It was identical to ours. Yes, it works for us. Our stickers, and what we did was we had to go and change our stickers, but we were getting phone calls from people that said, "Hey, we saw you at the zoo, we got your sticker." They actually didn't get our sticker, they got the other company's sticker, but because we had branded so well, they didn't even look at the phone number on the sticker, they didn't look at anything. All they saw was the sticker and they associated it with our company, and we were getting phone calls from clients of the other company saying that they had seen us and they wanted to book us. So if you are going to brand and you're going to do marketing, come up with something new, come up with something exciting, come up with something that another company isn't doing, because you do run the risk of losing business to the original company.
Wow, that's a very valid point. I mean, I wouldn't even have thought of that, you know. It's true. It's those simple things that set you apart in everyday operations. So my next question, obviously you kind of half answered it already. So how many people do you have working for you now?
How many people did I used to have working for me?
Well, I guess that's
okay. If you ask
to
me,
2 weeks ago and maybe after 2 weeks from now.
okay. So prior, okay, we would have had probably about 20 to 30 people that would work for us on a casual basis, because what I've done with my company is we're a boutique company.
Yep.
If you don't get us, we're really sorry you didn't book early enough. I'm not one of those companies that wants to book hundreds and hundreds of jobs and just pull anybody off the internet. We have a group of entertainers that we use here in Perth and that we're very happy with, and we know that their work's good. So it was probably at the height about 30 people. Now there's just 2 of us.
Now, do you expect that's contributed towards what's going on across the globe, or that's
no, absolutely. It's the global crisis, definitely. And we understand that, and we will just hang around and wait for it to go away. So my tips for people that are in business: contact your bank. Anyone that you owe money to, contact them now and let them know. Put plans in place so that at the end of this, when we come out the tunnel, you still have your business.
It's funny you just touched on that. So it's kind of funny because we have actually a bill that was slightly past due, but it was on a payment arrangement. And this particular company that we represent their brand very heavily here at US Party Company, they were very helpful when we went to Float, Twist and Shout and all those places and getting us the product and really doing what they needed to do. And they've been super helpful in regards to the communication line, because if you don't have that communication line, they just want to know, like, hey, what's going on, So, I mean, obviously these times haven't helped. It's a ripple effect. This particular product is heavily used, not here only in the US, but across the world, actually. There's actually a distributor that relies on us in Australia for it. There's also a distributor in England that relies on it. And there's 2 or 3 domestic people who also rely on that same product. And when I was speaking to him last week, the guy in charge of the division, he said, make sure you send Linda a message and let her know. And I did. And Linda was very understanding. But when I talked to them on Monday, because, I mean, Steve was very, very, very worried. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
You could tell the fear last week on his voice that he was nervous, And we had a conversation on Monday. And when we talked, he was definitely very concerned. And he let me know that he had heard that Linda said that I had reached out, And he said to me, I guess you're not the only one in that boat. And I was like, I mean, nobody wants to set things back further, but right now nobody's buying anything, so there's nothing you can do. But you're right. Reaching out to people who you wouldn't really think to reach out to.
Yes.
Just try to make that effort, keep the communication line open regardless, even if your country or wherever you are.
Bad news. Even if it's bad news, because, as salespeople ourselves, we run businesses. If our clients don't contact us and tell us that they're having problems, we don't know and we can't put plans in place. So even if it's bad news, contact people and just say, hey, look, I'm just touching base, just to let you know, I'm not running away, I'm not going bankrupt, I'm just struggling at the moment. And people will be fine with it. They have to be. It's just about, at the moment in business, it's not about sales, it's about relationship. You need to keep your relationship with your suppliers. You need to keep your relationship with your clients. Have a bit of grace with your clients, because you're going to expect your suppliers to have a bit of grace with you as well.
Correct. So that brings me to my next point. So what is your view on, recovery from, how are you going to get back up once everything's kind of at an okay pace? I mean, what is your short-term plan right now? Like, let's say in 2 weeks, everything got better. What is your short-term plan?
A short-term plan is to call all my clients and say, hey, do you want to reschedule Easter? Because I can make that happen in 24 hours. That's my short-term plan. All the events that we've had cancelled, and we have had tens of thousands of dollars of events cancelled in the last 4 days. I've spoken to all of those clients. They're all waiting for it to get better, and it's going to be one rip-roaring party when we come through the other end. So your clients, just remember that your clients haven't disappeared. You haven't lost them to another company. They just can't do the event, and they will come back to you. And if you can hold on to that and just be positive and do other things while you're waiting, like go on a diet. That's what I'm doing.
So in this obviously very difficult time, what would you say to someone who probably just started out, maybe whether it be 1 month or maybe 2 years? What would you say to someone who really has not that much under their belt, and then you have this happen? I mean, let's face it, everyone's getting cancellations, and there's nothing you can do about it. But you're right, you need to fix and bridge that gap and reach out to them.
All right.
And the second question to that is, are you issuing deposits back, or are you keeping deposits?
Well, I'm very different from probably almost everybody else in the world. I don't take deposits. So because I have 23 years of experience with my clients, I just don't take deposits. But anyone that has, like we have had a couple of people that have said, oh, look, we want to give you a deposit because I want to pay it off so my husband doesn't know, or whatever the reason, we're giving them back. We get
it's
a lot
always
of
funny when they say that. They're like trying to hide money, like
don't tell my husband. So anyone that has paid a deposit, which is a very minute amount of people, maybe like 0.5%, we're giving them back. If they ask for them back, they're going back. If they don't, well, we'll just hold on to it. But that happens for us in everyday life. We don't, maybe because the majority of my business isn't entertainment and stuff happens, and I just give the money back, because I know that they'll come back to me next time when they can afford it. And to be honest, I would rather have a client that goes, you know what, you want blah, blah done? Call Rosie. She was fantastic. When I had an issue come up, she gave me my money back and she didn't even ask me why. So that's how I run. That's my business model, which is very different, I've seen on Facebook, from a lot of people. I'm very fortunate, I suppose, that I have the reputation that I have, and I know that I will always get more work. Perhaps for a smaller company that's only just starting, they may need to keep the deposit, but think about your reputation in the long run. That $200 might help you out now, but does that leave a sour taste in the mouth of the people that probably need the $200 just as much as you do? So that's, it's a hard one. I think it's an individual choice for people. I've got a client that, it was only a smallish job, $500 balloon job. He just cancelled yesterday. I already have the balloons. I just said to him, look, when this is over, make sure you call me because I've already bought the balloons for your job. They're sitting in my warehouse. And he was like, yes, I'll call you. It's a risk. It's one that I'm prepared to take.
And it's funny because, so I'll share some indulgence with a situation that I've seen recently. Take the airline industry, suffering like no tomorrow. And you have people who, they like to use the low-cost carrier here. And I'll be honest, I'm a Frontier Airlines elite member, and I really like it. And I've only been delayed like 4 hours once. And when they did that the one time, and I took it the first time like 3 years ago, they gave me a $25 voucher, but I only paid $19 to pay for the one that was late. So it was like almost like a free flight. But I feel like you pay for what you get. I see these people on Frontier Airlines bitching and moaning, and they're all like, oh, well, they're only going to give me a credit for 90 days to use by November 1st. But I should have went to Southwest. Well, it's kind of like, someone that knows you, Rosie, they'll come to you, if they appreciate what you do in your livelihood. And the same thing applies there. No one ever forces someone to buy from you or any other balloon person. But in this particular case, it's funny that people make comments just because somebody else is doing the customer service a little bit better. So yeah, it's a very valid concern. I mean, it's interesting to see what's going to happen to the airlines. I mean, yeah, JetBlue and Southwest and probably doing a good job at it, but at the end of the day, the airlines don't actually owe you anything, unfortunately. I mean, that's the way they've always sold tickets, but it just kind of brings us to that. I know I'm getting a little sidetracked, so let's get back onto track there. But it's just funny, you pay for what you get, and you receive
cheap
what you
is
get.
Not cheap. I always say cheap is not always good, and good is not always cheap. So if you're going to buy something and it's substandard, don't complain when it fails.
Yep. Exactly.
I fly budget airlines here in Australia, not for $29, but we get flights to Bali and it might cost $130 return. Well, if that flight's delayed for whatever reason, I'm not going to complain. It was cheap to start with.
Yeah, and it's funny that you brought Virgin up. Actually, I heard that they were cutting 75% of all routes across the world. And
yes,
that's a big chunk of what's going on. I mean, let's face it. It probably isn't even. It doesn't even bring for good terms for an Australian who wants to go to Bali. I think Bali's like the place where every Australian wants to go. No, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's like our holiday getaway. Our prices are very cheap, very, very inexpensive.
Right.
Although
you're surrounded by water.
yes. Although we can't go anywhere at the moment.
Right.
But I think it's a worldwide thing. What's happening? It's definitely what I was thinking as well. As we've always said, Australia, we live in the lucky country, and I firmly believe that we are the best country in the world. We've been very, very privileged. We've had great healthcare. Everything's been great. And now we're getting to see what other countries have had to put up with. Famine, food shortages, the things that are happening here. It's an eye-opener. It's a scary but exciting time. And I think we can all come through it. We just need to practice. I keep saying grace because I just believe that if we're gracious with each other and we are selfless instead of being selfish, then we can get through this and come out the other end and be stronger for it.
It's funny to say that, though. You're right. Here in America, I mean, I think things were fine up until, I would say, Thursday night of last week, and then Friday hit, and then like the whole U.S. kind of announced what was going on. And I mean, literally, people went running to the store. I mean, it was literally rice, toilet paper, all those crazy things that you wouldn't even think of. And it was just, it's overwhelming, And then you see the stories of people posting, hey, Walmart's got toilet paper today. And I remember we went 2 mornings ago. I mean, we were down to 2 rolls of toilet paper. We needed toilet paper. But people are stockpiling 40 different.
You don't need toilet paper.
Like, really?
You don't. I've got big news for you people. If you get poop on your arm, you don't use toilet paper to wash it off. You use soap and water. If you run out of toilet paper, it is not the end of the world. Get a face washer, just like you used to do in the olden days, washing your baby's bottoms. Soap and water, shower, you'll be fine. It's really funny. I was at the shops yesterday and baked beans. All the baked beans in Australia are sold out, and I'm just a little bit confused about that because we all know baked beans make you fart. So
yep.
Why people who would never eat baked beans, why are you all buying baked beans?
So actually, it's funny that you touched on baked beans. So let's think about so rice cakes, for example. You don't see a lot of people buy rice cakes. Like, come on. I mean, they're good, but they're good for people on Weight Watchers and stuff because they're really low.
There's no nutrition.
Or it's towards the bottom, so they don't really almost count for points, I believe. But it was funny. I mean, the whole shelf was taken, and it's even the organic ones were taken off the shelf. I'm like, what is going on? Like the chicken, the meat, the frozen pizzas. I mean, the list went on and on. And it's funny because now here they're doing oh, if you're 60 years old, you can shop from this time to that time, this time to that time at different stores. And it's funny because we had one store here that basically said, oh, no, we're not opening special hours for people over 60. And come to find out, their biggest competitor, which was always here before they even entered the marketplace in New England here, was like, oh, we're going to have from 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m., we're going to offer, people who are elderly to come in. And then next thing you know, in the last 24 hours, you got that market basket again saying, oh, whoa, wait a minute. We're going to open 5:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. for the elderly now. I mean, they literally took a bunch of slack. People posted and they basically told their customers that them opening for elders was a rumor and a hoax, And I mean, they could have capitalized on it, but they actually waited too long, and then they got forced to by their own competitor, So it is kind of funny. I
think
I've never seen anything like it.
Talking about your competitors there, if you what you need to do, like you asked me before, what I would say to people that have just started in the industry, 2 years in, 2 weeks in, the comic side of me, the stand-up comedian side of me person would say to you, oh, look, just pack up and go home. You haven't lost too much. And then when they come back, we've got all the business back. But realistically, if you love doing balloons and decor and you want to stick at it, use this time, if you're only new, to do training. Jump online, see what training's out there, learn how to do, Photoshop, things like that. So spend the time that you would normally be using to sell your product to get to know how you can market your product, because that's really the only thing that you can do at the moment is scrub up on your marketing skills. So whether you're 2 years, 2 weeks, 20 years, scrub up on your marketing skills.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was speaking to someone who said basically you should do YouTube videos showing people how to make like a WordPress site. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But now you're sitting here going, should I?
No, I wouldn't go so fast to show people how to make a WordPress site, because then there's people that like do that for a job will be going, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't show people.
But I don't know. I feel like there's so many people out there who they're kind of lost, And he did have a valid point. He's like, you don't actually do it for them, but you make little clippets that kind of explain different things in the website. So I'm assuming you have a website.
Yes, my website's pretty geeky. I had a web developer. I had a friend who was doing web design and he helped me do it. And I get a lot of phone calls from people saying, look, your website's great, but it's not really good. Yeah, I know it's not good, but it's one of the most successful websites that my friend has ever built, because it's not so good. It's not clean. It's not sleek. It's the total opposite of what a website should be, but it works. So don't be scared to try. Don't be scared to try different. Check out my website.
What would you say to someone who, let's be honest, for a lot of balloon people, a lot of people in general, they always believe everything should be, and I hate to say this word, but they believe everything should be free. So the hosting should be free, the domain name should be free, the marketing should be free.
Okay, so if you believe that all of that stuff should be free, your hosting, your website, your marketing, your advertising, give your balloons away for free, love. You give away all your stuff, because there's people in the world that believe that balloons should be free because it's just a little bit of latex. So that's what I would say to people that think that should all be free. Again, free is not always good, and good is not always free. You get what you pay for, and you need to pay, because at the end of the day, somebody has designed whatever it is that you're using, whether it be WordPress or whatever that you're using. Someone has designed that, and they're entitled to be paid for what they've done, and you need to pay for it. And if you can't afford to pay for it, and it's a business cost and it's an overhead, then perhaps you shouldn't be in business.
That's a very valid point. I mean, it's funny because when I talk to people and they ask me, well, how much do you pay to host your website? I'm like, I pay almost $40 a month. They're like, $40? What are you doing with the $40?
And then you probably find that those same people that are complaining about paying $40 a month for a website are spending $40 a month at McDonald's or Hungry Jack's or the burger joint or the coffee shop. So it's all about your priorities and what's important to you. And what's important to successful business people is growing their business. It's, things do cost money, and that's just what you have to do if you want to have a successful business. You need to put money into your business. You need to invest in your business. You need to invest in yourself to grow your business.
Yep, you definitely do. I mean, I think it's something to be had, I mean, in your experience, have you been to balloon conventions or anything in Australia or?
Yes, I have. Chris Adamo's come over to Western Australia, and I've been to his class. He's fantastic. Ken Stillman came to Australia way years ago. We have OzJam in Australia, which was coming up in August, which unfortunately has been postponed. So if anyone wants to come to Australia and experience OzJam, we'd love to have you. I go to as much a balloon camp. Balloon camp's amazing. Just watch out for the drop bears. Yes.
So what was that?
Watch out for the drop bears. We have drop bears in Australia.
So explain that for us in America, because I'm still not following.
In America? Well, everybody thinks that koalas are bears. They're not actually bears, but there's a relative to the koala called a drop bear. And the only way that you can stop them from attacking you is to rub Vegemite under your arms.
I will leave my comments for that delicacy by itself.
Yeah,
I appreciate the people from, I think, OzJam who brought it over to the float convention, and I remember trying it, and let's just say, like...
Well, I can tell you now, Vegemite hasn't run off the shelves in Australia, so it can't be that good. It's still there.
I mean...
So back to your question, yes, I go to as much training as I can. I support the people that do YouTube videos, you know, Mock Brothers, I can't remember all the other ones, Eric Weinstein, all the people that you see on Balloon Friends, on Balloon Twister Central, Katie Burns, is that her name? So I keep a lookout and I see what people are designing and what they're selling. Jackie can't say your name, Jackie, really sorry.
Sorry, that was good.
Yeah, I buy her stuff. And I think it's worthwhile investing in well, Chris Adamo does great tutorials. I bought Virtualoon. That's fantastic. That's just the best thing as well. So all of these people have spent time and money developing their skills and they're sharing them with us. Go out there and buy their stuff. Michael Bay, go and buy some of his things. Darren Mortiboy, get on. There's so much out there for you. Probably it's a little bit hard now. Pick and choose at the moment who you want to help and what you'd like to learn, but definitely training. I can show you pictures of things that I did just from looking at YouTube videos, not very good YouTube videos because my balloons didn't turn out very good. I could show you pictures of what I did when I started and what I do now, and it's totally different. And I put it down to the training and the education that I've been given or bought. Definitely do that. You're going to have a lot of time. Might as well do something. And I haven't got Netflix anymore.
So I know it's hard. You listed a bunch of people. And so this list of this next question could go on for like at least 10 years probably. Top 3 people that influence you in your work. And
top 3. Chris Adamo. And we're talking at the moment, or are we talking for all time? Because
it could be all time or current moment, or
okay. So my business has changed greatly. I've started doing a lot of digital design rather than going and spending money on product. I use virtual product, and I make my. You will ask me for a design. I'll go and I'll make it virtually and I'll send it to you, so I don't have to outlay money on actual physical product at the moment. So I would say Virtualoon, Balloon Tools Online, and my mum.
So let's touch base, because I think Balloon Tools is Chris Adamo, correct?
Yes, it is, and it's fantastic.
So tell everybody watching why they would use that program and what can it do for their business if they haven't used it yet.
If you haven't used any, well, I'll talk about both because I have both Virtualoon and Chris Adamo's Balloon Tools Online. Why I would use those and why I have used them in the past is I've had a client call me and say that they wanted a balloon arch for a shopping centre. They wanted to create some atmosphere. So I said, I will send you a mock-up. She said, yes, please. Within 20 minutes, I had made a mock-up of a balloon arch and 6 columns and a really tacky piece of grass that I drew using Microsoft Paint because I didn't know what I was doing with the very first one that I sent. Within the hour, she had booked in the balloon arch and the 6 towers. So my job, because they originally asked for a balloon arch, well, tripled in price because I was able to do a virtual mock-up for her and send it to her. So that I think you should use virtual designs, especially at this time. Start thinking about what people might want later on in the year. We don't have the money to go out and buy stuff, but you might be able to afford a monthly or a yearly subscription to something That will help your business. That very first job that I did, the very first mock-up, paid for my subscription to Virtualine. So,
Wow.
and I bought a lifetime membership so I don't ever have to pay again. And it was the very first one. People are doing similar sorts of things with Chris Adamo's balloon tools online, and it's fabulous. It's very easy to do. You can do arches, you can do walls, you can do columns. The difference being between Chris Adamo's and Virtualine have got pictures of, they've got the images of Sempertex, metallic, anagram, numbers, Qualitex. They have a bigger library, if you like, of balloons that you can use, where Chris Adamo's is 11-inch Qualitex balloons. There's something in both of those for all of us. I use both. And I think at this time it's good. Educate yourself. Go have a play with both of those. Companies will give you a 7-day trial. And if anybody's got any questions about it, feel free to message me on Facebook. Make friends with me. I'm happy to help you out with that, with either of those.
I like how you brought that up. So it's true. Being able to, pay, I forget exactly how much it is, but take the trial out, try
Absolutely.
it out, see what it's about, and design something even,
Yeah.
and print it out. And then think about what your clients or what you're going to try to sell to your clients, have it already made. I mean, the reality of not having to buy the product, but being able to show somebody what it is. Yeah, it might be a mock-up, but I mean,
hey, but the mock-ups are really, really good. Like, they are amazingly good.
Now, how do you protect yourself on markups? Let's be honest. I mean, some companies do different things with, making sure that you get a retainer for putting them together. Tell us a little about your process about those kind of things.
The mock-ups that I'm doing at the moment are purely and simply for my clients. And if my client chooses to take my mock-up and take it to another company, well, they're not my client anyway. And I've had the experience of making the mock-ups. I don't really care. If someone wants to take it, they probably were never going to book me in the first place.
Right. True. I like that answer. That was a good one.
You just, in business, like with my face painting business, there have been, when I first started, there were 3 face painters in Perth. Me, face painter extraordinaire, and a lady called Suzanne, blah, blah, blah. I can't say her last name either. I think there were only the 3 of us. Now there must be about 300 or 400 that I know of. And when I started work, it was a little bit scary because these new companies started coming on board. Now, if I had spent my whole time looking like this, trying to see what other people were doing, I couldn't have managed to get my company to go ahead the way it's done. You cannot worry about what other people are doing. If you waste your time and energy worrying about what your competitors are doing, you won't have the time and the energy to grow your business. There's always going to be people coming on board and doing and copying and whatever. Just stay focused on what you're doing. Give the best customer service that you can do. Do as much education and training as you can do and keep going ahead.
It's true. I mean, it's so many good points. I mean, you've given so much great advice. So kind of in closing, like, tell us what you think 10 years from now in the balloon industry might look like, given everything that's gone differently from 20 years ago.
Well, going from the past 10 years, hopefully in 10 years' time, I'll be retired with a multi-million-dollar business.
Hey, that's not what we all want.
I think the way I see the industry going forward, there's going to be a lot more done online. We probably more online shops. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I hope not, because I really enjoy the customer service side of things. I've always been in customer service. I started in a Chinese restaurant when I was 13. I lied and said I was 15 and started working. And back then, if you didn't smile at the customer, you didn't have a job. One thing I will say in closing, when you are dealing with customers, if you have a long line of customers, make eye contact with every single person that comes into your store or within your range of view. Make eye contact with them, even if you're busy, and you can just mouth to them. Just make some sort of contact with them so that they know that they have been seen, they have been recognized, and that their business is important to you. because that's what the future, I think, in the future, especially after this, the people with the best customer service are going to be the ones that win. So make sure it's you. Give the best customer service you can.
You know, customer service goes a long way, in different elements of anyone's business, really. And sometimes it's kind of funny because people make decisions, and then the decision is that people leave a bad review. Well, you have to think to yourself, how could I have prevented that review from happening the way it happened?
Absolutely.
What steps could we take to do it differently? I mean, you never want to be confrontational after the fact that they've already left that review. But it's true. You want to make sure that you're learning from every experience, even in bad light, and don't take it too much to heart, but take it to heart in a sense where, you can kind of shrug it off once you figure out, hey, could I make this differently? And write it down, have a little book. Hey, I did this, and I would do this differently next time.
And if you do get a bad review, we had a 5-star Google, like our Google was 5-star. We had one client put a bad review because her children were behaving badly on my bouncy castle. So I removed them. So her and somebody else who wasn't even at the event put reviews, and now my 5-star rating's gone down to a 4.8. Now, I could have got on there and blasted that woman and been really nasty to her, but I didn't. I got on there and I put the facts down, because you have to realize that your customers are going to look through your reviews. They will look at your good reviews and they'll be happy. They'll look at your bad reviews. When they look at your bad reviews, they're not wanting to see what you did wrong. They're wanting to see how you responded as a business. So make sure your response is professional, not attacking, stick with the facts, and don't be emotional. Because if you do a good, like you respond properly, it won't matter that you've gone down to a 4.8 from a 5, because people are not stupid.
Right.
Except for maybe
we had such a great chat. Time kind of went by really fast, like really fast. Like, you're literally like the record holder right now. Like, you had so much great advice, so much great wisdom.
You didn't have to cut me off early.
No, we appreciate everything you said, and hopefully we'll chat again soon when things are better. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Rosie.
That's all right. And feel free to friend me on Facebook if you want any help with anything at this time.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
And have a great night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.